Sup everyone, this is Draco Evolve. Crystal Palace 0, Manchester United 2 in the Premier League. Goals from Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial kept our top 4 hopes still alive and in shout for the Champions League spot. This is my match review, and let's always start with the teams. Let's have a look at the teams. I did predict my 2-0 win for my when I done my match preview, so yay. As you can see, that was our lineup. One of the biggest sort of surprise, you could say, is the left back position. We all know that Brandon Williams and Luke Shaw was a doubt going into the game. However, I was expecting Diego Dalot to play, but for Timothy Fosu-Mensah to come in, a right-footed player playing on the left back position who's barely played. I think the last game he had was a few years ago at Old Trafford. For him to come on, it just shows the state of Diego Dalot. I do believe that this was probably the last straw for Diego Dalot, who's played much more games than Fosu-Mensah, who's played much more games in the fullback positions than Fosu-Mensah. Now, it's not to say that Fosu-Mensah is a poor player. I think he has a good future ahead of him. I do like him as a player. I do feel that he gets very unlucky in terms of his injuries, but it just goes to show what Oli thinks of Diego Dalot, and I think Diego Dalot is probably going to be one of the players to get their axe coming up. But this was the lineup, pretty much unchanged for the rest of the team, except McTominay came on on for Matic, not as in came on as a sub, but as a starting man. Now, in the first half, credit to Crystal Palace. They did push us. They had a lot of pace up front, which troubled us a little bit. And, for Martial, for Rashford to get a goal right before half time was a breather. I think we did not have a very good game overall. I think that we were too slow at our build-up, but when we did go at them with pace and movement and one-touch passes, we got 2 goals out of it and also created several chances. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes hitting the post. I just felt that McTominay doesn't offer as much composure as Nemanja Matic does. Obviously, Matic came on and there was a lot more control on the midfield. I think McTominay's game is not about that. I think he is more of a box-to-box rather than very disciplined and composed. I do believe that in the future he can become that player. But Matic, obviously, having played, 4 or 5 games on the trot, he is an aging midfielder. Yes, he's in a great form, but I felt that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer probably rested him a little bit ahead of the semi-final of the FA Cup this coming Sunday against Chelsea. I felt that overall, most of the players, I don't think they had the best of games. I mean, Maguire had a couple of chances. I think one of the headers from the corner he should have scored, given his track record. But David De Gea, he made several saves throughout the game, especially in the first half, and I think one save right in the second half as well, which kept him, getting a clean sheet and also kept him ticking, to be frank. And I'm glad that David De Gea has had a good game when called upon, despite that we wasn't troubled too much in our goal positions. Now, obviously, Crystal Palace had a goal disallowed, which was the right call, but very, very tight. However, I did feel that Lindelof's foul on, I think, Ayew, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, should have been a penalty. I think Lindelof does catch Ayew. But hey, you win some, you lose some. I guess last week when Manchester United, Romeo should have been sent off. When we played Southampton, you win some, you gain some. That's how it works. But in terms of Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba, I think both of them looked a lot more assured when Nemanja Matic came on. Before that, I felt that they had an average game. Bruno Fernandes did give away a lot of balls. But the good thing about Bruno Fernandes is that he keeps trying those balls. He doesn't let it affect him mentally. 1 or 2 misplaced passes, he doesn't put him off. He just keeps going and going and trying. And credit to him. That's a big, mentality to have, to put that in the past and carry on and keep playing your game. But let's talk about the 2 goal scorers, Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial. For me, Rashford is the man of the match. He scored 1 and assisted 1, and he looked like a threat going forward. But these two guys are clearly vying for the top goal scorer, position at the club. And I'm so glad that not only are they kind of being a little bit selfish, but also making the passes when they need to for each other. For example, how Marcus Rashford passed one-touch football for the second goal onto Anthony Martial, who slots it in. It was a fantastic goal. But build up to that, Bruno Fernandes finding that pass to Marcus Rashford on the edge of the box through a defender, nutmegged him, was a great creativity right there. So that's my overall thoughts on the game. I think the game was relatively poor. I don't think it was a very, very good game, but we've got the win 2-0 at the end of the day, which means the last two games, Leicester having won 2-0 themselves, they are still ahead by goal difference. However, despite what will happen in the next game for Leicester or Manchester United, going into the last game, we will no longer be more than 3 points apart from each other, which will make a whole host of difference. Obviously, Leicester's got a couple of tough ties coming up. We haven't up until the last game, so I would have preferred if we had got a few more goals just to close the gap on the goal difference. Speaking about goal difference, this is the current standing on the table. As you can see, we are level on points with Leicester. Leicester's got +3 goal difference. However, we are 1 point behind Chelsea, who's got Liverpool in the next game apart from the FA Cup. I do believe that we are not mathematically, past Wolves. They can still catch us, but I don't believe we'll finish lower than 5th anymore. I feel the top 4 race will go right to the wire, and the last game against Leicester is gonna be one hell of a game. I think both teams will need a win for sure. Certainly Manchester United need a win, because even if it's a draw, Leicester is on goal difference, they got +3 on us, which will be a bit of a heartbreak to lose out on the Champions League spot, especially if it's concerning with goal difference. Obviously, Leicester played this week. Today, a few hours before Manchester United against Sheffield United. They've had a bit of a change side, but they've won comfortably 2-0 at the end. I didn't personally watch the match, but having read the reports, it seemed like they've had a good time. But it is what it is. Let's have a look at the stats, some of the stats, because we all love stats, right? Right, we all love stats. So in terms of stats, we've had more of the possession. However, as I said, Crystal Palace was no pushovers. Look at that. In terms of shots, they did threaten us, although they never had any clear-cut chances, in my opinion. And same case with Manchester United, apart from the Bruno Fernandes post, which I reckon he should have just slotted it rather than blasting it. We never really created any chances, and it does come on to the fact that we were too lethargic and slow in the build-up. The minute we start to put a bit of pace into the game, we get a couple of goals, and we have a few chances to score even. In terms of substitution, the review on the substitution for me, obviously, I've talked about Matic. I think he was good when he came on. However, Jesse Lingard is still some way off the pace. I believe it's not his fault. Obviously, he's had a bad time in his personal life as well, and it's a lot to ask for him coming into the side and getting a goal or making a difference. But it was always nice to see him come on and get some game time. A youth product of United is always accepted into the club by default. It's just a matter of, I think, in regards to Jesse Lingard, it's just a matter of him kind of seeing out the next few games and moving on. I think it is time for him to move on. I don't believe he can offer us many chances at all, or many cutting edge chances at all anymore. I think he's came to the end of his career at United, which is a sad thing. I think he had a good few years, but it just never worked out for him. Now, in terms of Harry Maguire and Lindelof, I think they played both well. I believe there's a lot to learn from the game. I think Lindelof is, I hold my hands up. I didn't trust Lindelof as much, but ever since we came out of the lockdown, post-COVID, Lindelof, I reckon he has been phenomenal. He's been very good. He's been composed. He's got a bit of pace, not burst pace, but pace. However, I do feel that we still need another world-class centre-back, because at the moment we have only Harry Maguire and Lindelof as our first centre-back pairing, with Bailly coming in. Glad to see him on the bench as well. Glad to see him injury-free so far. but he's too injury prone for me, and Phil Jones is just missing, isn't it? So I think we do need a centre back. I would love to see Tuanzebe, however, Tuanzebe also has the issue with injury problems. But that's it. My man of the match was Marcus Rashford. My prediction was 2-0, and I've got it right. Thankfully, you know, that's a rarity. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know how you felt about the game. Let me know if you felt that Manchester United should have won by more. I think it was overall a fair scoreline. I think when we attacked with pace, we got the goals. When they attacked, they barely had a chance. Albeit they had a offside goal, which is correct. But let me know who your man of the match was. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next upload, and stay farafari.